Hey there, Rush fans. This is Mark Benetti alongside you for your latest edition of Behind the Bench, presented by Assurance Solutions, where we ask your favorite Rush players and staff questions you've submitted to us on our social media platforms. It's a season-ending edition of Behind the Bench, and joining me is the gentleman that helped me start this program almost more than 87 games ago, the head coach and the general manager of the Rapid City Rush, Joe Ferris. Coach, before we begin, I want to congratulate you on one of the most successful seasons in Rapid City Rush hockey history. Like I said at the top of the conversation just moments ago, 87 games in the books. I can only imagine what your thought process is when you hear that.
Well, the biggest thing is you can't believe you played 87 because it seems like we're sitting here eight months ago, a little over 8 months ago, getting ready for training camp, and boom, it's over like that. And once the season starts, you get the injuries, the trades, the players recalled or players sent down to you. It's just a whirlwind, and you just try to adapt on a daily basis. But yeah, just an incredible learning experience for all of us, an incredible jump into the ECHL to get to this level of hockey, something that we've been hoping to achieve a couple of years prior, but we're here to stay, and just a very, very exciting hockey year.
Coach, this team accomplished so much, not only on an individual basis with players breaking more than 13 franchise records this season, but the team as a whole qualified for their 6th consecutive playoff appearance, did so with a 6th consecutive season of 35 wins or more, and given how the playoff bracket played out by the time the Rush were unfortunately eliminated by the Americans, finished more or less in the top 6 out of 28 teams in the ECHL. Out of all those accomplishments, what stands out to you as the most important?
Well, the biggest thing I think what we're most proud of, Mark, is the young players and how as a group of 24, 25 people, we came together the second half of the season. We knew we had a good hockey club. We knew we weren't getting what they call puck luck, or things weren't going our way on a lot of one-goal games, but we stuck to it. We kept continuing telling the guys it was a journey. It's not it's a marathon. It's not a sprint, and we're going to get rewarded for the work ethic and how hard we're working on a nightly basis. We just got to stick to the plan, stick to the system. We know what type of personnel we have here and what's going to be best for our success as a hockey club. And the guys stuck with it. They stuck together. Everybody. The second half, you look at our numbers from the second half as individuals and as a team. It's just mind-boggling. Since the year ended, I've had a ton of calls from other coaches and GMs throughout the league, just congratulating us on just an amazing accomplishment that we did, not only the second half but in the playoffs. And everybody had counted us out. A lot of teams had counted us out at Christmas time as a team not to worry about being in the top 4 to make the playoffs, and we proved everybody wrong. And just really happy to see how this hockey club developed and what we accomplished over the course of the year and how we grew.
Coach, what was your expectation with only 2 days of training camp heading into a more or less a 2-game gauntlet against the Colorado Eagles team in the preseason that had time to prepare and had time to get their team all set up? What was your expectation from game 1 of the preseason to when we're finished?
Well, over the last couple of years, I've watched a ton of ECHL games, so I knew the pace would have been quicker, and obviously the size of the players. You get so many contracted players that are on the radar to either the American Hockey League or the National Hockey League, Mark. So that they're not drafting 5'8", 5'9" players on the whole. These guys are all 6'1", 6'2". Drafting for development size, and I hope 2 or 3 years down the road they're going to make that impact. So we knew it was going to be bigger and stronger and quicker, and we knew a lot of players that would be available to us going forward weren't available to us at the end of the summer in the Central Hockey League, and so we knew what to expect. We just didn't expect to the degree, and obviously the first 15-20 games was a real feel-out process for our hockey club, where we stood. Could we compete? Could we win? What's the best dynamics to make as an effective hockey club in this league? And we made a decision early on that if players became available, we were going to be constantly looking for players that had ECHL or American Hockey League experience. And if contracted players became available, we'll do our research on them. And we have a great organization here, obviously locally owned. We do a tremendous job within the community, and our what we have with our locker rooms, and every component of our hockey club is first class. So we knew a lot of teams in the American Hockey League would have no problem sending players if they were available, and that's what we did. And we made a lot of adjustments early, a lot of moves early, and obviously looking back, I think they paid off.
Well, folks, we'll take a quick commercial break. We'll be back with your second half of Behind the Bench after a word from our sponsor.
My job at Assurant involves keeping our customers informed at a time when they need us the most. I care about doing a good job for my company, but mostly I care about the people I serve. I found the same spirit of caring in a lot of my coworkers at Assurant. In the communities where we operate, we get involved with outreach groups and local charities. The same teams that are so good at helping our customers are also hard at work helping out in our neighborhoods. I think if I had to tell somebody one thing about Assurant, I'd say we care.
And we're back with your second half of Behind the Bench presented by Assurant Solutions. Coach, right before the break ended, you had talked about how player movement trades were extremely important and very integral in the season, given it was the first year in the ECHL. When you look at all the trades, all the assignments, all the players that you picked up, is there any one player or a set of players that you would deem most important or that much impactful on the roster?
Well, I think you got to look at the time of the year, too. I think obviously getting Kale Karbashian, who was minus 17 or minus 18 in Evansville, and he came into us and gave us that instant boost of offensive instincts. You know, what he can do offensively is second to none, and I think he ended the year like plus 14 or 15. You know, a turnaround like that's incredible. And then, you know, you get Matthew Brisbois and Michael Young. Michael Young is probably the biggest surprise. We knew, talked to his coach several times at University of Nebraska Omaha, and you know, he said, Joey's a great player, you're going to love him, he's just a great kid, and you know what he'll bring to the team. And you know, when you guys are captains in college or captains in major junior mark, these guys are leaders, and he came in here and he felt himself out a little bit on, you know, he's a quiet guy, but his commitment and work ethic's outstanding. And you know, you look over the course of the last 20 games or so, you know, arguably he was a top 2D for us. So I mean, what he did was outstanding, and obviously a player that you know, we're definitely going to want back, and we'll see what happens with his situation with the Boston Bruins. And then with Briz came in, I think he was minus 17 or so too with Indy, and he came in at a plus 10, and you know, turned into a real output of offensive instincts, and was great for us on the power play, and a guy that you know, he's got a lot to learn on the defensive side of things, and he's a young guy, and he's going to learn it because of his skating ability and how strong he is. But offensively, he's as good as we've seen in a Rep City Rush jersey. I think those are real important ones that we made. But I think you know, you look at guys that were here, you know, Kostolansky that stepped up incredibly. You know, Danny Batacho, once he got adjusted to the level of play and the shooters, and you know, a lot different than playing overseas, where you know, you might get 20 shots a game and 3 or 4 quality. At this level here, you might get 12 or 14 quality chances a night, and he was outstanding for us the second half. But yeah, I think you know, you got to look at it as a whole. And the other big thing too, Mark, is when you make a lot of moves like this, is how the players that are here adjust to new guys coming into the locker room, or how new guys coming into the locker room adjust to the guys that are already here, and what type of impact they're going to make away from the rink, and you know, when we're doing our workouts or when we're on the road and stuff like that. And I think when you look at all our guys, it was amazing, you know, just how a lot of them became seamless transitions.
Team chemistry always plays a big part in a roster, Coach, especially when it does shuffle around like that. If you could name a most improved player on the roster, who would you name that?
I mean, I think most improved is you look at, you know, you don't want to disparage any of the kids, you know, but I think at the start of the year, we knew that a guy like Danny Barczyk had tremendous upside. His skating abilities as good as we've seen at this level. And you know, I think he maybe early on, after coming over from Denver in the CHL in the year that they had, trying to find his way a little bit. And you know, I think he's one of the guys we worked with a lot because he's got those you know, intangibles. And I think what he did over the course of the year in the playoffs, and you know, he really surprises the grit that he had. You know, he was a fearless hockey player, and I think he had 23 goals and, you know, probably 15 breakaways he didn't score on. So I mean, very easily he could have been a guy with 30 goals. And you know, I think there's only 5 or 6 in the whole ECHL that had 30 goals. But I think over the body of his work the whole year, Mark, he'd probably be our most improved.
And obviously, speaking of 30-goal scorers, one of those gentlemen was Jesse Schultz, who had 34 on the season along with 43 assists. 2 years in a row, he was the leading scorer on the club, and he kicked it in a high gear when his team needed him to.
Well, he was outstanding. The second half, when you know, I thought you know, maybe the first 25, 30 games we might not even have a 20-goal scorer on this hockey club. And you know, obviously Kale coming over got into the 20-goal mark, and Danny Barczyk, like we talked about. But yeah, the second half that Jesse had, and you know, when we needed it the most, you know what I mean, we were a team that struggled all year to get that second and third goal on a nightly basis, or if we had a 1-goal lead, you know, it was a grind for the last 20 minutes to hold on to that lead, and you know, put maybe undue pressure on our goaltender. But yeah, to get 34 goals and be a point-a-game guy in the ECHL, and I think he ended up 4 4th or 5th in the league in scoring is just an incredible accomplishment, especially, you know, a veteran player that, you know, hasn't played in the ECHL in a while. That we knew he always dominated in the CHL on the point side of things, but, you know, to get it done this year here was huge for our hockey club, and, you know, a big reason why we made the playoffs.
Last question for you, Coach. Obviously very, very early. It's still May, but any expectations for the upcoming season right off the hop?
Well, the big thing for us, Mark, and we talked to all the players on our exit meetings, are, you know, there's a lot of turnaround in the ECHL with guys. You know, you don't know if you get a young back or a Briz back that are under contract. You know, guys that have good years the way they did this year, they have an opportunity to go overseas and make a lot more money than they can at this level. And, you know, some guys decide to retire. So it's, you know, there's going to be a lot of movement. We know that, and obviously our major priority is to try to secure an affiliation. But I think the big thing and what we try to take out of the meetings at the end were, you know, the guys that we do bring back, you know, we want to stay quick. Obviously, you got to be quick going into the division we're going to be in, playing the Utahs and the our Ontarios, with, you know, a lot of their players might stay on the side of things here. And, you know, you got the Eagles, a team we're going to see 12 times next year. It's a very quick division, especially in Alaska too, with an Olympic ice surface. They always recruit for a speedy hockey club. So we know we want to stay real quick, and the big thing is we want to build off what we did. We want to come in with the expectation that, you know what, we were 2 games away from getting to the conference finals, you know, this year here. Let's build off of that and get a great start, because we know every game next year is going to be a battle as well.
Well, once again, Coach, congratulations on a heck of a season. We look forward to another one coming up next year. Folks, that does it for your season-ending edition of Behind the Bench, presented by Assurance Solutions. And don't forget to submit your questions for us on our summer series coming up this offseason.